Welcome to Steve's Cottage with Steve Horner. Steve Horner, a former radio talk show host, helps spotlight the source of today's social chaos while offering practical solutions to the problems negatively affecting you and your family. And now, here's Steve.
Hello, everybody. Boy, oh boy, it's good to have your company here. I'm Steve Horner, and this is Steve's Cottage. And if you're walking by and you hear that cottage rocking and rolling, and it's shaking and popping, don't bother knocking. Just come on in, because there's no strangers here at Steve's Cottage. Oh, boy, I got a great show planned for you today. And listen, if you're only getting the audio, now remember, several weeks ago, we were talking about the sorrowful Jew. We're going to touch a little bit on some of that Palestinian and sorrowful Jewishness later on in this program. And remember, you're here to learn, not to be offended. You're here to learn and understand insights of different aspects of life from the minds of others. And that's what we intelligent people do throughout our lives. And you are a member of that crowd, right? Because you come a knocking here at the cottage. So it's really good to have your company. But what I'm saying here is that YouTube took me off of their YouTube, and so that was the video. They said, oh, no, you're just being too hateful. Well, I am not a hateful person. I am a loving type of person. They just happen to be a bunch of liberal snowflakes that don't like anybody else's opinion. So they took me off of YouTube, and Sean, my exquisite engineer, producer, marketeer, and all-around good guy. Say hello, Sean.
Hey!
All right. And so Sean has put me, and now we've got some big surprises, too, for some other big platforms that we're going on, but we aren't ready for that introduction today yet. But right now, if you've only got the audio and you want the video to see the opening, to see my cheery, expression-filled face with the shades or without shades, go to Rumble and or Facebook and just type in Steve's Cottage, Steve Horner with Steve's Cottage, and you'll be able to get the video as well. You know, putting together this show and just having experienced a birthday, and I'm so happy to have lived this long. Thank you, God. And I'm not going to tell you how old I am today, but if you go back to episode 1, you'll see that I say that the day I was born was the very day that Jackie Robinson received the inaugural Rookie of the Year award in Chicago, Illinois, on that blustery, wintry November day. And I was thinking, as I was a elementary-aged kid in the 50s, it was a lot more peaceful in those times. Certainly, as you're living the times, they are all stressful because they're all an upgrade and or a degeneration of days gone by. But looking back on those days in hindsight, they were a lot more peaceful. They were loving, more family-oriented. The nuclear family, dad at home, mom at home, dad working, paying the bills. It was much more intact, and therefore the children were happier. The harmony in the family was intact, and they didn't spend the types of money that that we do now these days. Mom cooked at home. Entertainment was at home. And sure, we'd play out in the woods, and we'd slide and sled on the snow-covered hills during the winter, and we played hockey and built snow forts, and during the summer we'd be down at the lakes swimming. We'd go to the state fair. My friends and I would go to the auto show. Barnum and Bailey would come to town now and then. We'd go to the aqua follies in the summer and the ice follies in the winter. And of course, these were not the big Metrodome type of auditoriums. These were like maybe the National Guard armories that we'd we'd have around town in Minneapolis and St. Paul. And we didn't have any major league sports in Minnesota up until the late 50s when the NBA came to town. One of the big stars of the college circuit in that time that went on to become a member of the Minneapolis Lakers that went on to become the Los Angeles Lakers. The show was named, the team was named the Minneapolis Lakers because of our 10,000 lakes. On my dad's sports show, they had a contest. And I've asked you before, just go to Mr. Minnesota Sports, Jack Horner, just like little Jack Horner sat in the corner. Jack Horner, Horner. And during that time, there was a Jewish man named Abe Saperstein, who was an entrepreneurial type of guy, and he created a really fantastic group of guys that became a national, international phenomenon on the basketball courts. And boy, I'll tell you, when they came on the court, and I remember my dad taking me and my whole family, 5 brothers and my mom, and took us to the National Guard Armory, and to see these black guys dressed up in their basketball outfit. And Wilt Chamberlain was an early member of these group of fantastic, mesmerizing, ball-handling magicians. These, ladies and gentlemen, were the Harlem Globetrotters. And they came on with a fantastic theme song called Sweet Georgia Brown. That's all, folks. Isn't that fun? And they would just pull, and this was their pregame warm up. They'd be in a circle and they'd be playing jazz and magician type antics with this basketball and twirling it and flipping it, and their ball handling skills just absolutely put a smile and a laugh on your face from beginning to end. And these were guys like Meadowlark Lemon and Curly Joe and Goose Tatum, Marquis Haynes, and Wilt the Stilt Chamberlain before he began his outstanding NBA career. And as a matter of fact, I met Wilt Chamberlain after Vietnam, and after the service, I was down at the Brentwood Country Mart outside of, I was living in Venice, and several days during the week, including Saturday, I'd go over there and work selling shoes and then also selling men's clothing. And one day out there on the square was an open square, and Brentwood is right in O.J. Simpson's backyard. Fancy place, upscale area. And so the lady I worked with, Marge, she says, "Oh, Steve, there's Wilt Chamberlain over in the..." I went over there, introduced myself. I said, "I'm Steve Horner. My dad was doing games back in those days." "Steve, have a seat." Nice big fella, jovial and quiet and subdued. He was trying to find peace time there and maybe reading a magazine or a newspaper right there. But, big man. And "Steve, have a seat." He says, "Jack Horner, I remember your dad. He interviewed me as a globetrotter and also after I joined the Lakers. I remember your dad. Nice guy." And I said, "Well, thank you very much, Wilt. And we always thought the world of you and always felt attached to you, having been part of the Globetrotters, and so I asked for his autograph, and I moved on, shook his hand, and very nice gentleman. You know, the Globetrotters was founded by this Jewish man named Abe Saperstein from Minnesota, and I bring this up, his religion and his heritage up, because during that time in my life, I've worked for a lot of Jewish people, and I've dated a lot of Jewish gals, and I've affiliated myself with a lot of Jews in the military and in sports, and you know, Abe Saperstein, what an entrepreneur! How could you take any credit away from his genius entrepreneurship, who took the Globetrotters all around the world? What a creative, hardworking guy, you see? So it has, so the beef, I think, with people having something to do with Jewishness is nothing to do with their humanity. It has to do something with their politics. Same with Bob Dylan, Minnesota Jewish guy. I applaud Bob in my sequel to Cunt, the Pink Book at stevehornerbooks.com. Write that down. stevehornerbooks.com is called Cunt. Can't understand normal thinking. You see, it's an acronym. Can't understand normal thinking. The sequel is called Consequences. And in that book, I applaud Bob Dylan. What a writer, what a singer, Minnesota Jewish fella. And it's like Barbara Streisand. Love her acting. Great looking gal. I remember working at Bernie's Deli at about a sophomore in high school as a busboy, dishwasher. And one Friday evening, about 6 o'clock, a whole group of Jewish people were gathered around a table singing, "People, people who need people." They were applauding Barbara Streisand, a fellow Jew, you see. What a beautiful situation. What camaraderie. But the deal with being a Jew, which is how this show is titled, How to Be Jewish, and this is part 2, interesting aspects of life, and the last one as well, is that Jewish people typically do vote liberal, just like women in America these days, 80 to 90%. And with their hardworking mentality, it's hard to fathom why they do this. Maybe it's because they feel people need favors. That's kind of the pledge that Jewish people make as a youngster. But then it gets to be, you know, not only helping a person up, but also to help them fail. Isn't that what communism is all about? You don't have to participate because we'll take care of you. Well, it creates softness. You lack that determination, that sacrifice that manifests itself in the lives of those not living under communism. We work hard, we strive, we challenge ourselves, and that's what makes us feel better. But for some reason, the Jewishness and the communism are kind of attached, and that's why they are so much advocates of welfare, handouts, homelessness. Then, of course, Jewish people have got that ethnocentrism, that us and them mentality. You know, look in the Bibles. How can it be more us and them than reading Jews and Gentiles? You know, it's a funny thing about liberals. They are so damn stupid. It's like they got rings in their noses and they've got puppet strings on their extremities. Jews who run the press, the media, as well as Hollywood, they didn't know the issues in Vietnam. We were called baby killers, but no, we were trying to stop the killers from killing babies. They were the communists trying to kill Mama San and Papa San in the village, trying to raise rice and try to raise their family. But you know, that's how it's going in today's world as well. The the Jews who are running the press have created such a liberal mentality across the country that these kids are raising hell against the Jews, because the liberal press has told America that Jews are conservative. And so therefore, because these college kids and the rest of their these anti-Jew groups have been puppets, have been stupid because they are liberal, they have now they believe that the Jews are conservative. And so therefore their enemies, who are the Palestinians, must be on their side. They must be fellow liberals, you see? And that's how this whole thing has become twisted. And their liberal politics raises hell with many who choose to live a more conservative lifestyle. Now, sometimes, you see, when these liberal politics that I'm talking about, press a little too hard. These liberal politics press a little too hard, like the Jewish politics, the Jewish liberal politics. Sometimes when they press a little too hard for a little too long on many too many, well, you can expect a lot of pushback. And I'm saying, what the hell is this coming at me? 767 coming out of the sky. I'm in the World Trade Tower. I don't want to die. I want to live. Please, Palestinian man. Yeah. I said I want to keep my head. I want to keep my hands. Please, Palestinian man. Walking to the Pentagon, the whole West Wing is gone. Someone got excited and they called the president. I want to live. Please, Palestinian man. Yeah. I said I want to keep my head. I want to keep my hands. Please, Palestinian man. Listen to the radio talking about who gotta go. I don't care who they say. I want to live today. I want to live. Please, Palestinian man. Yeah. I said I want to keep my head. I want to keep my hands. Please, Palestinian man. Yeah. Here they come again on a Saturday night with their guns ablazing and their will to fight. I want to live. Please, Palestinian man. Yeah. I said I want to keep my head. I want to keep my hands. Please, Palestinian man. Wow! I said, please, Palestinian man. Please, Palestinian man. Trying to keep my head in hands. I said, please, Palestinian man. I said, I'm trying to keep my head. Trying to keep my hands. Please, Palestinian man. Aha. Oh, yeah. Woohoo. Yeah. That's it. That is fun, 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 fun. Well, that's what's happening, folks. You know, when you press your politics on other people at their expense, you can't push too many, too hard, too long without expecting some pushback. That's what it's all about. It's the politics of the Jewish folks here in America, overseas, that are pushing the wrong people too hard. And these are paternalistic people in the Middle East. They believe the men are in charge. Men are in charge of the families, you see. And for generations and hundreds and thousands of years, women have bought into this. But now all of a sudden American feminism wants to come over and shake this up. And the pussy-whipped American man wants to follow along, and they want to coddle up to the Jew, whose campaign money comes in handy when we want to run for office. And so I believe that that's how that's how the mix has happened, and that's the tragedy of today's Middle East conflict. I remember having a beer with a girlfriend of mine back during my single parent years. Single Parenting Guide is a good one, folks. That's at stevehornerbooks.com. Talks right from the heart. And go to stevehornerbooks.com and look at that Single Parenting Guide, which was written in 1995, but then has been updated several times, because the cost of childcare and the cost of homes and jobs and so on and so forth. You'll see, I mean, there really is a host of some really wonderful testimonials there, and of which I'm very, 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 very proud. Very proud. And if you know a single parent in your life, he or she will really appreciate it. So I had a birthday here the other day, and I received a lot of really, really nice, heartfelt birthday cards. This was one of my better years. Some years you don't receive anything. This year, quite a few. And my friend John, my friend Porky, my friend Carol, my son, just beautiful cards. And really heartfelt and very creative and very funny. But the one I want to read to you here is from my friend Ernie. Ernie's a few years older than me. I met him during my single parent years when I was running the Steve Horner Corporation, marketing and advertising out of my home. And Ernie ran a huge business, product consumer-oriented. And he and his family has since sold it to a Canadian interest for $700 million. That's a chunk of change. Ernie and I went on the ride across Minnesota 3-4 times during the 90s. Bicycle. It was called the Tram, the ride across Minnesota. Beautiful, beautiful time to form camaraderie. Because sometimes, the weather and sometimes some of the hills and that can be challenging. Well, anyhow, we have stayed real close throughout all these years. And Ernie's wife is, suffering with Alzheimer's, so she's at an assisted care home. And Ernie's on his own, but he's got 3 beautiful daughters and their husbands, and they all get together. And he just went through a bout of cancer. And now he's cancer-free. He says, well, I don't know if it'll come back. I said, Ernie, I don't know if I'll die on the way to the show tomorrow. But you are cancer-free for right now. Well, this is the message I got from Ernie. It's got a wolf on the front, kind of going, "Ow!" Hello, Steve. Happy birthday. This wolf reminds me of you. You're a free spirit, and your voice, your thoughts and beliefs clearly and with vigor. And you voice your thoughts, that's what it says here. And you voice your thoughts and beliefs clearly and with vigor. We've shared a lot over the years, and I greatly appreciate being able to speak from the heart with you. Wishing you a great year. You're a great friend, Ernie. Isn't that nice? I felt the same wonderful way about that when I read my friend John's letter, and Porky's letter, and Carol's letter, and my son's letter, and it just really filled my heart with glee and joy and pleasure to know that I've got people out there that feel that way about me. I hope you have those people in your life too. If you don't, you can always nurture it, because any one of these people I could have said nothing to over the years and have forgotten them, and they would have forgotten me. But I made the effort to reach out to them, and thank God I did, and I treasure our moments together every single day. So you reach out to the people in your life and find items of interest and in common to create that dialogue so you mend those fences and you create bonds that last. And as you're traveling up those hills of challenges in your family and your work, and you see the mountaintop, sometimes get off that well-beaten trail and get over into the unknown, into the untraveled trail, because I'll tell you, folks, it'll bring richer rewards, make you feel better about yourself, and that's what counts in life. So come by and see me again next time. Thanks.
Thanks for joining us. Visit Steve's Cottage again with Steve Horner.